What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Welcome to Oh So Simplified, coming to you with a video about dealing with quote-unquote perceived losses. Like, comment, subscribe, leave some feedback, help me out with that. But let's jump into this one. So once again, this video is going to come a lot off the back of Reality Transurfing. It's a great book. If you've never read it, really affected my frame of reference. As always, these videos are coming directly from my life. So, with Reality Transurfing in mind, kind of been going through life trying to not force my way through a lot of things. Just kind of what I feel intuitively, going with that, being pretty firm with, my actions once that's done. But like understanding that there's only so much my mind can know. Most things are not happening because you're forcing them, and kind of going with the flow, if you will, in some capacity, not completely, in terms of just being like blown with the wind, but like more using the wind to strengthen my sails. So with that, even though, obviously building, a YouTube channel has been a main focus, somehow fighting has been something that has given me a lot of, just joy intrinsically in terms of being able to get better in shape. It's helped me change a lot of things in my lifestyle and just terms of health in general there. But with that being said, I've taken about, over the last 2 years, 9 different fights. I have about 10th one coming up in 2 weeks. But recently, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, lost my second fight. And it was really the first fight that I lost, I felt like, where, I was getting hit a little bit. Didn't get finished. It was just a decision. But all in all, it was a fight that I really believed was going to, be something that I could use to build the channel. And was putting it a lot on my Instagram, was thinking about, maybe this is a way I could kind of start marrying things together. Had a lot of plans with it. And immediately it kind of was a big letdown, a little bit humiliating. A lot of my friends and family who didn't even know I was doing that, because it was something in Atlantic City, I was the co-main. It got a little bit of traction in terms of just the notoriety of the card. And you lose, it's kind of embarrassing. Everybody wants to know the update, and you kind of got to let them know that you didn't pull through. Very easy for me to immediately get down on myself. But then I can look at the positives that, one, it was an opportunity for me to kind of see how much I did like this, because it's one thing when you're winning. When you're losing, you kind of see if you still want to do it. It showed me too, it was a very good opponent, took it on 2 weeks notice while I was sick. My mentality has grown, where I'm not really as fearful of certain challenges. I've obviously gotten better to the point where I feel like I trust in my skill set. And then also just the fight itself pointed out a piece that was very easy to, or I believe is very easy to fix. We'll find out at my next fight. But basically just some minor holes that somebody was able to exploit. I was able to learn it without getting my face bashed in. This happened a week ago, so this is my face clearly not really hurt at all. My foot from kicking, but other than that, completely fine. But one of the points that the Reality Transurfing makes is that from a positive, there can never be a negative that immediately follows. Anything negative that follows after a positive event is actually you focusing on the fact that you don't believe things can keep going up in a positive way, and you're kind of drawing that negativity in. So with that being said, my first thought is to not, one, get down on myself, look for the positives where I can improve this area, a lot of the things that I just brought up. But it doesn't change the fact that you still have, the doubts, the fears, the thoughts where, am I doing the right thing? And kind of going with the, following the wind in my sails kind of analogy, as you're just kind of following your intuition, you sometimes feel like, am I doing the right thing? And the next thing that will come in is the different pendulums of other people's thoughts. And this is where, whenever you go through something that may be tough to digest internally, and there are things outside of the fight world that are things that also affect my mentality. So this is not just that, but I think fighting and competition in general, brings up these parallels so cut and dry. It kind of helps you understand understand it metaphorically a little easier. But with the other people's opinions and thoughts. These are also pendulums, and I know in this day and age, everybody's like, talk about it. You hear anything about relationships, it's always communication, therapy. All of these other things are really brought to you, where there's that whole other side of things where it's also pitched, but people don't really look at them as kind of like literally opposite philosophies, where like meditation, where you're just observing your thoughts and not actually engaging with the random thoughts, is another form. And a lot of the times I feel like when you get information from other people, it is actually not advice for you. It's advice for them if they were you with their life experiences. Like, the older and older I get, the more I realize it is a very rare person, and not to toot my own horn, because I think I have that ability, or at the very least the ability to be aware of when I'm not doing it, is sitting in somebody else's shoes as them. Like, imagining if you're them with the same heart and the same mind and the same backstory. Like, what most people will do is they'll jump in it from their perspective, and if they have no real connection to where your feelings are coming from, none of their advice is going to really ring true. And I think a lot of the times you can hear it and feel it, but if you do have that fear and that doubt on your own intuition, on your own sense of knowing what to do and where to take this and what the positive is and where to go, you might falter and listen to other people's opinions. And with this loss, people I respect. I'm not, obviously that's another benefit too of something I'll get into in a second, that, I always thought that this whole channel would take off, like, it's almost 10 years at this point, like way quicker than it has. And one of the benefits is I still can speak pretty freely and not feel like everybody in my life is going to find out what I'm talking about. But even things like, whether it's training partners, even my mom, my coach, they're giving me advice about how I can fix things. And a lot of it is based on the conversation that I've had with them, like when I share my thoughts. And I don't know if other people experience this as much as I do, but I know it's an experience I have a lot. And this is really where this inwardness over the last couple years has really resonated with me. And it's more of like a individual experience, not necessarily from that book, is that when I speak to people, it almost always feels like we're speaking past each other. Like, I share something and it's exactly what I'm saying before, but just this is more of the actual experience. Is like, you tell a story, you say how you feel about something, they parrot it back. But when they parrot it back, it's like they took what you said the wrong direction. They took it to mean something else. And then what you'll do is you'll try to clarify it again, and then they take it to mean something else. And what I've realized that means is that you need to do it and just show instead of tell. So even when I describe what I want to do on YouTube, I no longer talk to people about it at all, really, because they don't get it, and they're going to try to give you advice on how to do it, how to do this, how to do that. And it's your path, it's your goal, it's your door, and only really you can recognize it. It's the same way, and this comes directly from the book, like when you go shopping. There are sometimes you buy a shirt, it could be a shirt from the thrift store, but sometimes that shirt, it just fits you. It was meant for you, it was good for you, like it just fits perfect. Very rarely can somebody else do that for you. It's very hard to buy a gift, like especially clothing, for another person, unless you really intimately know them very well and kind of fully observe what we would call style, which is a very vague term. But then there's also the other option. This happens to me all the time. I go to the store with in mind, I need to get a dress shirt for work. I'm lazy. I don't want to go to 87 stores. I don't want to keep shopping. So sometimes I will just end up buying something because I went there to buy it and I'm not leaving without it. And I knew it from the jump that I don't really like it. I end up wearing it maybe once, maybe never. But it was just something that I bought that really wasn't designed for me. And something was pulling me to want to buy it. It could be because it was, a specific fashion. That's not something that drives me. Usually it's like, I feel like I needed a hoodie, and then I just grabbed the only hoodie I could find when I knew it didn't fit. But I digress. It's just the idea that the direction you go in life, the paths that are going to give you joy, the things that are really meant for you and are going to have like all like your life work out the way that you intend, the way you want to feel, it's all going to come from decisions you make based on things that you thought of. Like very rarely is it going to be based on just like purely like somebody else's guidance. Now I think that in some ways, obviously guidance, mentoring is important, but I'm somebody that thinks that the way the individual takes it is much more important. Like anybody can write a book on how to be a millionaire. Most people that read that book are not going to become a millionaire. Like it's like most people don't take it, so it's really the individual that's taking things to that next level. Now this last part is a little bit like, and that's what I hope my channel eventually becomes, even if I end up rebranding and making a whole nother channel, I'll always link back to this because this is where it started, is that the night is darkest before the dawn and self-fulfilling prophecies. It's like, don't give up on what you want to do. Like what I want to do, even with the whole fighting thing, it's kind of getting to the point where my skills are to the point where like I could just say like I just want to be the ultimate fighter. Like not even trying to gas myself. Like I'm good enough where if I really just dedicate all my time to this, like that could be the thing. But I know that's not actually my door. Fighting is a vehicle. It's in a self-expression, and to the extent that I'm at now, where I'm kind of at the top of the amateur ranks, and I do want to go pro and, you know, have pro fights and have a pro career, but I know that the end game for me is different than maybe some of the people I'm fighting with. Like I just want to win the fights I have, but I'm not going to feel like I missed out on anything. Honestly, if I don't ever even fight in the UFC, let alone win a championship, I just kind of, if I were to kind of speak out the self-fulfilling prophecies, like I just want to be at the level where I'm good enough where I feel like I could really hang with anybody. UFC caliber, like I feel like I could beat UFC guys, and then get into some of that influencer fighting, because that's where you're going to find the money fights. So I want to get my skills up, get my ranks up, build the channel up, and then tie these together. Also have like a fucking anime cartoon idea that kind of ties into all this as well. But all that to say, it's like all that's in my mind, and I'm not going to give up, even though I haven't. It's been 10 years that I've had a freaking YouTube channel and nothing's taken off. Some years I put more effort into it, some years less. Some years I've spent thousands of dollars on courses, some years I've spent none. So it's like, I've been doing this for a while. It really hasn't taken off. I haven't given up. Like the people that are very, very, very close to me in real life, they know I've been talking about this forever. And there's other things. I'm gonna also drop a mixtape at some point. Like I got bars now. It's like, and there's aspects of my life that are going very, very well, from, you know, in terms of like when you rank things and how you want it to be. But there's other aspects where it's like, I don't want to say it's not going well, but it's like, it's not where I want it to be. And, you know, there are a lot of stresses that are on my shoulders with some of the decisions I made. And it's not like I could run from them. Or I could try, and some people would fold. But it's like right now, for the last 2 years, it's like, I feel like I'm just running through it. I'm just trying to go straight through the fire. And eventually I feel like I'm getting out. I feel like I'm making my way out. And eventually I will get all the way out of it and come on top of this. And it's like, I'm just going to live with that belief. So as long as this dawn, the darkness is the darkest before the dawn, I have the idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy, which is basically, it's kind of a two-pronged thing. I'm going to explain it in the reality transurfing, and then I will just explain it in the communications, more scientific view, and then we can end on that one. But it's that a self-fulfilling prophecy from the reality transurfing view is that, you know, depending on all of your choices, depending on how you approach things and life and things of that sort, you have a multitude of different possibilities of how your life can turn out. And you're changing different lifelines depending on what you're expressing. So if you're expressing the idea that you're going to be this big thing, you're going to do this thing, and you're acting and moving in ways that would be of somebody who would become that, you're going to move to a lifeline that corresponds with that. And that is one of the main ideas of the reality transurfing model, is that reality is a mirror, and whatever you're showing the mirror as what you are is what will show back, just with the delay. Now, on the scientific view, it's more of just logical that, like, if you're developing a personality trait and telling people you're going to be, let's just say, like a basketball star, and you're practicing basketball and you shoot basketballs and you do these things, like, eventually, like, there's no other option. You just kind of developed a self-fulfilling prophecy. You've, like, said who you're going to be, and those are the things you do, and then that is what you became. So on either level, when you want to look at it more in a materialistic, scientific way, if you want to look at it more in the metaphysical type of way, and or even more of a spiritual way of just being who you are. Who are you? If that is what you are being, then that is who you are, type of thing. That's what the self-fulfilling prophecy is. So really just don't give up no matter what the setback is. And then have the courage of your convictions to stay on your door and your path, whether or not it corresponds to the advice other people want to give you, and then whether or not it corresponds to the length you'll be on that path. Because even when I look at, for example, the fighting thing, or even, and this is also another benefit of not being big, like when I think about my career, like, I have no aspirations to climb the corporate ladder. Like, this is what is the end game for me. All of this is a means to an end. Same thing with the fighting. Like, I have no aspirations to have 50 fights. I don't need 35 professional fights. Like, I'm even surprised almost I'm about to be at 10. That's a lot. That was more than I thought might have even happened when I started this. I do want more than that. I think I want, probably at least 6 pro fights by the time that I'm 36, and then from there, hopefully I'll have positioned all this where I can kind of combine it all together. But that's really it for this one. I just really wanted to post something up. It's something that I know I always say I want to be getting on it a little bit more, but it is something that once this last fight, that's going to be my focus pretty much from October all the way to the new year, is going to be just this and my career. In terms of just making more money to fund my lifestyle and deal with some of these other stresses. But wanted to get this up, want to keep some sort of momentum, something that did happen in my life. I thought it was something that other people could relate to. So like, comment, subscribe, dislike, leave some negative comments if you didn't like. Any feedback will do. And y'all always know what it is. Until next time, peace.